Hello, beautiful people. I'm here to talk to you about ending the cycle of overgiving and valuing yourself. Sweetie, can I ask two favors? Could you make me a cup of tea and get me a water, please? I forgot. Thanks. Okay, so let's talk about overgiving and learning to value ourselves. I'm going to be talking about four things. One, what are the signs of folk not valuing you? Two, what's the impact on you of not valuing yourself? And three, how do we shift this? How do we change this? And then four, I'm going to be sharing about the new low-cost membership that I'm creating for people who want to do this work in loving and valuing yourself. All right. So, this video is about valuing you. Do you find that you overgive to other people? Because in childhood, that's what was expected of you. When I was small, I remember this feeling of just walking into the room and seeing that my dad was just not loving me. Like he would just blank me and not care about my well-being or not care about what was going on for me. And I remember trying so hard to get his love. I remember making like these elaborate meals that took me like 3 hours to prepare for just like a little scrap of a thank you, that I was like, oh yeah, maybe now if I do this, he'll value me, he'll care for me. But it just didn't happen, and I felt so alone. Can anybody relate? If you're watching this as a replay, then just share in the comments when you're watching it replay. I'd love to know what you're getting from it. And also, if you find value from this, please share so that other people who are stuck in the trap of over-giving to other people can learn to value themselves. And what I learned for myself is that my father was never going to change. He was never going to value me. He was only going to be nice to me when I was over-functioning for him. My needs didn't matter to him. And it was devastating to know that. But what it then set up in a pattern in myself is overgiving and desperately trying to be loved by other people. So I want to share with you what that looks like. Okay, so let's go through this. What are the signs? I've got my little notes here so that I don't get lost. What are the signs of folk not valuing you? Well, I'm sure that you know this, but often we try to not look at it because if we look at it, we're going to feel hurt. Oh, thanks, babe. Oh, there we go. Thank you. My daughter's just bought me some tea. Because if we look at it, then we're going to notice that actually we're in a relationship where we're not being loved. And we don't want to do that, so we just like, I don't want to look. But if you want to look with me, let's peer over the other side and see what's there. Let's see what it looks like not to be valued. So the first thing is pretty easy. This is what my father did. He would just ignore me. Like I would call and leave a message, he wouldn't call back. I would even be sitting in front of him and talking to him, and he would just be going, He just had no, but then my brothers would come in the room and he'd go, my son! He valued them. He didn't value me. And that's the same as friends or in a relationship where you express hello or share what's going on, and there's just blanking and ignoring who you are. They're overcritical versus appreciative. So if you do something, they will spend, and you might have taken a while to do it, they will spend more time being critical of you for one small thing than appreciating all that you've done. So they'll be like, you might have spent 5 hours doing something, but 5 minutes of it you got it wrong. They'll spend 5 hours making that 5 minutes wrong rather than appreciating the 5 hours. And that's not like, a date and then somebody sexually harasses, so people are going, well, you should have appreciated the whole date. No, that's sexual harassment. We're not talking about that. We're talking about something simple and small that somebody gets hooked by and then makes you wrong and criticizes you and treats you like you are not good enough. That's not valuing you. They don't do what they say they will. So I often share with clients when they are dating, you can tell if somebody likes you by their actions, not by their words. Words are very easy to say. I appreciate you. I love you. You look beautiful. But are they coming on time? Are they doing what they're saying? Are they phoning when they call? Like when I was dating years ago, a friend of mine was bored and said, can't you go on online dating? I'll set it up and I'll start responding to people and you just go on the dates. Because she was, her husband worked and she was a stay-at-home mom and her daughter was at school, so she had nothing to do. And there was a guy who was coming to a town near me that she had picked for me. And he said, I'll call you at 2:00. I said, that's perfect because I go and fetch my kids at 3. And he called at 3:30. And I said, oh, that's strike one. And he said, what do you mean? And I said, oh, I only like being with somebody with integrity. You said you'd call at 2. It's now 3:30. And he's like, you're weird. And I'm like, no, just honoring of myself. And then he said, well, listen, I was just calling to tell you I can't talk now. I'll call you back at 8. 8:30 he calls and I just go, that's strike 2. And he's like, but it's only half an hour. And I said, it's what you said you were going to do. I said, it's strike 3. I'm not going to meet up with you. So he did it again, saying that he would call at a certain time. Called 5 hours later. And I said, that's strike 3. Have a nice life. And he's like, wow, you're so difficult and weird. I'm like, no, if you're going to do that before I've even met you, I can imagine you stay out at night and you don't come home and you don't call. And I don't want the stress of that. I really hope you find somebody who disrespects herself enough to be willing to accept that. But that was me valuing myself. I'm not going to be around that. So how do you do that? And this is a perfect segue into this because they get angry when you set boundaries. People who value you will honor you when you set boundaries. So if you are genuinely valued by somebody and you say, it makes me feel uncomfortable when you talk down to me. And if they ignore it, or if they say, oh, what's your problem? Why are you being like that? They don't actually value your well-being. And you want to be around people who value your well-being. If it's not mutual, if you are constantly giving and constantly thinking about them, and they don't consider you, then you're overgiving. You want to be in relationships where it's, my rule that I share in my groups is it's nourishing, mutual, and reciprocal. That's what you're looking for, nourishing, mutual, reciprocal. If you're just giving, and a friend of mine warned me about some guy, he said, he takes a lot and you're a giver, you're going to get deeply hurt. I didn't quite realize how badly hurt I was going to get because I had given to him a lot. But the moment that I set a boundary on how his family were treating me, he became really toxic, started sharing things about me to other people instead of dealing with them, with me. And it was just a complete shit show in the world because he was somebody who took a lot. Hands up if you've got friends like that, who you just give and give and give to, and they take and take and take. Well, that was my experience. The next one is that they take bad days out on you. They treat you like, that saying of you kicked the dog when you came home because you had a bad day. They treat you like that. And dogs don't deserve that. Humans don't deserve that. What's healthy is saying, I had a bad day. Can we talk about it? Not just flooding it out on you. Because then they're not valuing you for your worth or your experience. And they don't support your dreams. They're somebody who you can tell if somebody doesn't value you because they don't encourage your dreams and your well-being. And they don't celebrate them and say, you can do this. I believe in you. Instead, they get jealous. They crush it down. Now, jealousy, there isn't a problem with jealousy in itself. Jealousy is saying, this is something that really matters to me. This is important to me. And I want to develop more of those skills in my own life. That is healthy jealousy. Toxic jealousy is, I see you creating your dreams and I'm going to tear you down because I have too many fears, concerns, worries about creating my own. So I'm going to make you wrong. So those are the sort of things that people who don't value you, that's how they treat you. And I don't want that for you. I want you to be in nourishing reciprocal relationships. And my son says, what's important is we often look at green flags of what's wrong in a relationship. What's also important is that we look at red flags. But for those of us who've been in relationships where in childhood where we really struggled with this, we get lost and stuck because that was all that we're taught. So we don't know how to shift that. And we live, and because of the damage of what happened in childhood, we are programmed in this sense of we're bad and that's what we deserve. Because if we were better, then better things would happen to us. And that's not the reality. The reality is we were wired then to think that that's normal. And we're wired to think bad things about ourselves, where our self-esteem is low and we feel awful about ourselves. So let's look at the impact of being around people who don't value you. Because when you can see the fullness of the impact, you're like, right, I'm done. I'm not doing this again. I'm not having this. I won't be around that because I don't want to feel that way about myself. So let's look at the impact of being around those who don't value you. One, I often ask clients, if you are over there for them, who's home for you? Because they'll come and share about, they think this, they do this, that, and I'm like, you talk about them a lot, but what about you? Can we talk about you? How are you? What's going on for you? Because they've so had to like overparent or adult and be there for other people that they were banned as a child, so now they abandon themselves. So what does coming home look like for you? It's like, how am I doing? I'm going ahead of myself. We're talking about the impact. So the impact is you're not home for you. So you're not aware of what your needs are, your feelings, your dreams, anything, because you're always serving outside of you rather than coming home to you, and you matter. And when you abandon yourself, then there's no self to really have a relationship with other people, because you're masking and trying to see, who do I need to be loved by other people? And then you're not true to you. And so you look at yourself and you're like, who is that? You feel like an imposter because you're being somebody else to be valued by other people rather than being home for yourself. And I want you to come home to yourself because you matter. And I want you to value you and go, you're important. Your days are important. How do you want to spend your days that light you up and make you feel good about yourself? Because when you are not valuing you, you feel this depression and this heaviness that you're only getting scraps. And so then you think that you're not lovable. But that's not the truth. The truth is that you're being around people who don't value you. It also makes you anxious, like, what do I have to do to get them to love me? If I did this, maybe they would love me. Oh my God, that didn't work. So maybe I need to do this. And so there's always this over-functioning anxiety that is like, oh, what do I need to do to get loved all the time? And how can I express it? And then it becomes escalating of angry and demanding because you're not getting your needs met because they don't know how to meet your needs. And then they might do it because you've reacted, but they don't actually value you to be able to do that in a consistent way, consistent, meaningful way. And this all results in you having low self-esteem and just feeling like you're to blame and you don't deserve the best. And when you're in that, you tolerate scraps of love and toxic relationships that don't honor you because you just think, well, I don't really deserve it and I'll just take what I can get. And I need you to know that you deserve more than that. You deserve so much more than that. You are a valuable, beautiful, gorgeous human being who so deserves so much goodness and love. The other thing that happens when you are in these relationships where you don't feel met is you begin to feel completely unfulfilled, because you're always there helping other people fulfill their dreams, and you forget about your own dreams of what matters to you. That you're abandoning yourself to help them and serve them, but then you feel empty inside, and you wake up feeling empty and not wanting to get out of bed because it's hard work meeting everybody else's needs and nobody thinking about you. And I don't want that for you. So what can you do to change? Well, the first thing is quite a simple thing, but quite a challenge for people who have had a lot of abuse, because we grow up thinking that abuse is normal, and then we don't know how to live it in ourselves. You absolutely, Michael asks, would I end up disassociating? Yes, absolutely, because you want to get away from those feelings of not being loved and not being cared for. So you just want to split off out of it. And then you can live your life kind of in a haze, because being in your own existence is so painful, because there's no sense of value about who you are. So you just feel awful about yourself. And you want to go into a place that's kind of peaceful, calm, where there's no feelings, because this is just too intense to live in this sense of a lack of value. So thanks for adding that. And I'm sure that there are many more things. I'm just kind of taking 5 for each one. And I'm sure I could do 10 or 20 for each one. But I wanted to, otherwise I'll be talking all day and everybody will get bored. So I've just picked 5 or so for each one. But thanks for adding that. So how do we get out of this? First, we need to acknowledge, I'm valuable, I matter, I'm important. And it is, to go. I am a good human being, and I don't deserve to be treated like this. And I'm not going to get desperate or demand how other people treat me. I'm just going to get really clear, and I'm going to teach people how I want to be treated. But there are some people who you can never teach, because that's how they see you. So the rule number 1 is you can't change anyone except yourself. So you need to change who you are around. So one of the essential steps is discerning who is healthy and who is toxic. And I have not got a picker that is healthy all the time, but I've got friends around me who support me with that. Sometimes I find it hard to listen to them, because I'm like, oh, but I care for this person. They're like, care for them arm's length. Don't let them come in your inner circle, because they're going to really disrupt your peace. Like I said earlier, this friend said, that person is a taker and you're a giver, and you're going to end up burnt. Don't let them come close. And I was like, but they need it. And my friend was like, I would never do that. Don't get that close to them. And with another friend, I could see when I met them, they weren't good at empathy. They liked to be smiley, happy, and they were lots of fun to be around, but they were smiley, happy, and when I expressed anything, they would gaslight me, make me wrong, or celebrate and support whoever had treated me like that, understanding how they were, but abandoning me. And I clicked that the moment that I met her, but I was like, well, I've got other people who do that for me, and I allowed her to come in too close, and then I got really burnt. So you need to trust yourself. It doesn't mean that you reject them and never see them again. I've got one friend who has little capacity of empathy for me, but he has incredible creativity, and he values my kids. And he's so, my son can call him and chat about films and, various other stuff. And he is so there for them. But he doesn't have the capacity for empathy. So I know I can't take something emotional to him, because he doesn't have the capacity to meet me, and then I won't feel valued. So I'm not saying you can only be with a certain people. Notice there's some qualities that you value in them and they value in you, but you need to know how close you can allow them into your life, because otherwise you'll get singed by people who just take, or people who dismiss you or negate you. So you want to be around people in your immediate circle who have the values and lifestyle and interests that you do, and they celebrate who you are. The next one is learning to be healthy in relationships, so that you are sharing how you feel and what you need, rather than expecting other people to guess what you need. Because if you're just waiting, people aren't mind readers. Majority of people, they can't guess. And if you're doing that, generally you've got some sort of mother wound because your mother didn't guess what was going on, or you had a very over-functioning helicopter mum who was always there doing everything. And so you expect either for people who had no mum and you're waiting for somebody to come in and know what you need because you didn't get that. So you feel this sort of empty vacuum. Or you always had a mother doing it, and so you don't know even how to tune into yourself because she didn't give you that space to do that because she was there. In both those cases, you, as an adult, you're like, who's here for me now? And so you've got to learn to be healthy in yourself and learn, hey, what am I feeling? What am I needing? And then how to communicate that in a healthy way so that you can get your needs met and you feel good about you, and there's a nourishing mutual value. And the other thing that we need to be able to do is know what our dreams are, so that we are creating who we want in life, who we want to be in life. And it doesn't need to be huge things. It can just be like, I want to create a beautiful haven in my garden where I can come and it's beautiful. And then folk around you to value it and go, wow, I can see the work you've put in here and it's beautiful and lovely and gorgeous. So I want you to really honor yourself and go, what am I like? What do I love? What is good for me? And how do I value other people? You know, I know in the last workshop I ran, somebody said, my issue isn't that I give too much. My issue is I learned so to be independent and get everything I need. And so other people feel used because I don't even know how to think about other people. If that's you, I want you to do the opposite to what I've shared here, is notice other people and allow people in to your heart so that you feel met, so that you're both valued for who you are. Yeah, it's really hard to shift out of just that black and white thinking, like they're bad, they're good, instead of going, I myself have areas that I need to improve. Like, I'm not all white, I'm not all toxic, but there are areas of myself that I'm aware that I need to improve on. And when I give myself that grace, I can also give other people that grace. And see, you know, like this friend of mine, if I just based it on the fact that he doesn't have the capacity for empathy, then I would just go, he's a write-off. But his creativity, his generosity, if my son goes, hey, can you do this? He'll spend 3 hours on a Zoom call with my son, looking at his homework, you know. But if I'd written him off because he didn't have the capacity for empathy, my son wouldn't have that nourishing sort of godfather figure. But there are other people who, like if they have deliberately stabbed me in the back, or they've been gaslighting me, or their judgment of me and their value of me is so distorted, and I can feel underneath them this bitterness towards me, then for me that's a boundary, and I'm putting that up there for them in that relationship. So it depends how toxic somebody is as to whether I'll do that. And I'll notice, like, there was one lady who I met who I'm fine with at a very, very large distance, but I met her and she said that she'd like to go out and talk about her life. And I'd never met her before. And I said, oh, I don't do free therapy. Because I knew that getting into a relationship with her, just based on that was the first thing she ever spoke about, saying, I'm really struggling in my life right now. Can we go out for coffee? And I was like, that's basically just wanting free therapy. And she said, no, I want you as a friend. And I said, well, then it would be like, hey, can we hang out with you and your kids? That's being a friend. But saying, can I just go out with you with coffee because I'm having a bad time in my life, then I know that she's wanting that free therapy, and I don't do that anymore, because I'm realizing that those folk who just demand from me aren't valuing me, and I'm not going to do that in my life anymore. I'm going to be around folk who go, I'm not just going to take, I'm going to actually value her worth, her skill set, who she is, rather than just go, hey, I'd like to meet up because I'm having a difficult time with my husband, or I'm going through a lot with my son. I know you'll have a lot of awareness, when they've never thought about me and it's just taking me in that way. So there is this sort of, I don't know, for me, being with folk who are nuanced characters and going, I can be with their nuance because you don't treat me badly. I'm not going to write you off because you're a nuanced character and you don't necessarily have all the capacity because of your life force to be empathetic or thoughtful. But when I need you, you're there. So yeah, for me, there is some nuance in that. And honoring myself in that, knowing I'm not going to be perfect all the time. And for me, there's like how close do I let people in? The folk who value me, where it's mutual, can come in, just, arrive at my doorstep. But the folk who don't value me, I write often on Facebook, just don't rock up at my door because I'm often working. But the folk who utterly value me, I love them popping in. But the folk who just take from me, I hate it. And so then I know that those people, I have to set a boundary and say, I don't like you just knocking on my door. You need to text and see if I'm available to see you. And I put more distance. So for me, it's a distance. Those people who are utterly delicious, nourishing, mutual, reciprocal, they can come close. And the others, I put away. And those who are really unhealthy for me, have backstabbed me, have treated me badly, those are blocked. Because I can see you genuinely don't value me. And so then there's going to be space in that. So I so hope that this has helped you. It's just a joy to be able to share this. And for those of you who want to grow in this, who want to develop this sense of value for yourself and for others, I am wanting to, so many people have reached out going, I don't want you to shut home for Restoring Love, or after the workshops, I have, we create this community and then it goes and I want to carry it on. Or other people who've just done the quiz that I've set up and they are like, now what? Can you support us, help us heal in this way? I'm opening a new low-cost membership, and the link is at the top of this. You'll be able to see it and click on it and subscribe to the new membership. It's just £12 a month as a founder's rate, or £120 a year. And it will be a beautiful community where the rule is empathize, don't advise like we've had before. And I'm also going to be sharing with you how to shift, because a lot of people say it can be quite intense if people are sharing their pains. I'm going to teach you how to shift from flooding into flowing and getting your needs met. So the focus is going to be on growing secure attachment. And every month there's going to be a short, because I know people don't like these long videos, there's going to be a short video on one skill of growing the skills to love. And once a month, I'm going to do a Q&A. And then there'll be the community where people can support each other and love each other and empathize with each other. So it's going to be a beautiful community where people can get their needs met from each other. Obviously, like there is in Home for Restoring Love, it will be people all around the world. But what woke up for me in the last few weeks or last month in my free community were the fact that a lot of people didn't value me. And there were things that they were doing, like when I set boundaries, they were getting angry like they've got a right. Or they were flooding my inbox saying, I'm going to tell you my trauma because you're a therapist and you owe me. And they were criticizing the fact that I share the workshops that I'm running to support people and give them the skills to better their lives. Even people who'd done the workshops, who had changed things because of the workshops, were criticizing me. Sharing the workshops for others. And I just realized I don't want to be around people who don't value me. And so there's an entry into being in this group. so that people can value me. And it will be a smaller group, obviously, that will grow over time, but it will be a group of people who value me rather than me just serving those who take without any consideration for my life. There was somebody who said, you run the group, so you are responsible to respond to us and deal with this. And I was just like, wow, there's no consideration of me as a human being in my life and my dreams. And then there was somebody else who said, I don't feel like you see me enough. I'm like, have you joined a workshop and come to a workshop where I answer every single person's question? No, just somebody who just wants me to proactively see her without any value for me. And so for me, there was just a cutoff point of, I'm not being valued here. And if I continue to allow myself to be taken advantage of, to overgive without care, to overgive without appreciation, to not be valued, then I am teaching every one of the 6,000 people in the group how to not value themselves. And I don't want that for you. And in just closing down the group, people have come to me and said it made them realize that there are relationships that they need to close down because they are overgiving and not being valued. And so I know for myself that if I am living where I'm not, where I am overgiving, then other people think that's what you have to do to get loved. You don't. And where this came from in me was this deep compulsion to be able to serve and make a difference in the world. But I realize I can't change anyone. Nobody. 0 people I can ever change in my life. But what I can do is change me. And I can create a world around me where everywhere, every aspect of my life that I go in, I feel valued and I feel loved and I feel appreciated. Just as simple as that. And I want that for you. I want you to be in workplaces where you feel cherished and loved and really appreciated. And you're doing stuff that you utterly love. And what this has made clear for me is I love being with people who want to do the work, who want to change themselves, who want to become securely attached and shift in themselves. And so me saying, here, just pay a little bit towards this every month, then you are letting yourself know this matters to me and I want to do this work and I want to shift in myself. So every month we will have a little binge thing of 10 minutes of a lesson. So this month I have created for you one on how to empathize with others, because a lot of people were sharing they just don't know how to do that. So I've created that and that's ready for you. And then we will be looking at every month, I might do a vote of saying what is the thing that is the most important to you. And then I will also answer, I can see in 1 hour, I can answer sort of 3 or 4 questions really, really deeply. So I'll do a vote of the questions that people are sharing that you most want me to share, so that I can really serve those of you who value my work and value my input. And it doesn't matter if you have a therapist or you don't have a therapist. This is a support group in between therapy. I would say about 1/3 of the people who work who are in my Restore membership have therapy outside of the work. And I really, really celebrate that. I think it's healthy and good to do that, to go deeper in the work. But most people don't. And some people work with me as a therapist, and that's totally okay. And, some people will say, I want to find a therapist outside of here, and I'll support them of what they're looking for and checking how the first session went to make sure. So, having a therapist is perfect if you want to be in the group. And then the group is there to be able to support each other and grow the skills to support secure attachment. And I will have moderators in the group. And the lovely Janet is going to be doing the admin and emailing, so that, because I realize I don't enjoy any of those and she's really great at that. So I am paying her to do that so that I don't have to do it. So I am valuing her work because that's a skill that I don't like, and I'm going to do the things that I love doing. So come and join us. The link is above in the description of this video. You can click on it and come and join us. We'd utterly love to have you with us. And I really want you to be around folk who love you, who cherish you, who really appreciate you. So I'm looking forward to doing that. Oh, I can just see Suzanne. I can see that you've joined. I'm thrilled to have you with us. And yeah, I'm excited to see where we go together in loving you up. All right, everybody, I'm sending you love. If you've got any questions about the membership, put them in the comments, and I would love to be able to answer them and give you clarity if you'd like to join us. Okay, sending you love. Bye.